There is so much more to life than what we see. What if we were capable of feeling it? This is the Inner Guide Podcast, a journey back to you. Welcome to the Inner Guide Podcast. My name is Isabel Churchill, and I'm your host for this journey back to you. This is the 10th episode of this podcast, and I'm really excited to bring forward a subject that is sometimes perceived differently, which is the twin flame. The twin flame is probably the best journey that will redirect you every time back to yourself. There are a lot of different perspectives about the twin flame, and I'm only sharing you my own truth, which doesn't mean that it's your truth, but it is based on experience, knowledge, channeling that I've done, and also observation of other people's experience. The twin flame is, for me, a quite complicated soul contract. It can show up in different ways in your life, and some people, it will never show up in their reality. A twin flame relationship is basically a relationship where you meet your partner, your twin flame. There's a sudden remembering. It's almost like you know that person. The connection does not have to be sexual or of romantic attraction. But most of the time it is confused as a romantic opportunity. The twin flame often, when you meet your twin flame, you often have that sense, or you'll always have that sense that you know that person, that you want to know more. A lot of time you'll want to spend a lot of time with that person. And sometimes you'll confuse the relationship as being romantic because of your interest toward the other person. I think we manifest our twin flame at a moment in time in our life where we kind of have lost ourself. And when you meet the twin flame, it's almost like you have this sense of familiar, this sense of being on the right track. But it's actually an illusion, and a lot of people will struggle with that illusion. A lot of people will believe that it is meant to happen, that the relationship is meant to be romantic. And that's the confusion I want to talk about today. So you might be asking yourself, am I in a twin flame relationship? What does a twin flame relationship look like? Well, it's the kind of relationship that I describe as a push and pull relationship, where when you're with the person, things can be really intense, really deep, and then yet there can be this really intense moment of conflict. It's almost like the U2 song, where with or without you. Like, you cannot live with the person and you cannot live without the person. There's this sense that there is a lot of confusion, because moments where the relationship is amazing, you're like, oh my gosh, I could never be without this person. And the other moments, like, what is wrong with us? What is going on? Like, why can't we get along? Why do we see things differently? Why are my needs not met? And this is why I call it a push and pull, because it's constant. It never stops. It's just frustrating, and it's hard. And when you're not with the person, you constantly think of the other person. The twin flame is a contract that you've had signed at one point in time, where basically when you choose to incarnate on Earth, at some point in time, you lose yourself completely. The twin flame is there to mirror yourself back to you. The twin flame will show up to mirror back to you who you are, to mirror back to you what needs to heal, to mirror back to you what are the skills, the knowledge, the aspects of you that you admire. The twin flame will not always incarnate physically. Sometimes it will be experienced through meditation or this strong connection with a being that is not, that you can only connect with when you're meditating or when you're in silence and connected with yourself. That's an aspect I'm not going to go too much deep into it. Just know that it is a possibility. It is available. It is there. Your twin flame, where people don't agree about the twin flame relationship, is about the reason why it happened. I see a lot of bullshit online where it says like, oh, the twin flame is the most amazing relationship you can have. If you can work through the kinks and live with your twin flame, it's the best thing ever, blah, blah, blah. And usually it comes from people that haven't experienced it, that they just copy paste a message and in their hope that that's going to be their experience with their twin flame. But honestly, the twin flame relationship, the goal of it is not to become romantically involved and have this peaceful relationship like a soulmate. That's not the goal. The objective of a twin flame relationship, the reason why you manifest your twin flame, is to find yourself. It's to be able to reconnect with your inner guidance, with who you are, with your truth, with your authentic self. And people don't realize that. People always fantasize that, oh, the twin flame, I want to meet my twin flame. I want my twin flame to show up, or I want to have a twin flame relationship. Twin flame relationship are not easy. It's a relationship of suffering, of push and pull, like I said. The push and pull, the way that I explain it, is that you push the other person away and you pull the person in your life, and it's a constant flow like that. And that's why you're with and without. And it can come from one person, both of them, or yourself. You push the person away when you don't like what you see. You don't like how you're being treated. You pull this person back in because you're craving a person in your life. You no longer want to be alone. You kind of have that yearning for what it was. But honestly, the push and pull has a totally different objective. You pull somebody in your life, your twin flame, you pull your twin flame in your life to learn something, to grow, to evolve. And when you push back, so when you experience a conflict and you're pushing away, so you're pushing away this person, it's to integrate the lesson. It's to go back within and reconnect with yourself. So the push and pull is only about learn and growth with the pull, and the push is about going back within. It's about integrating. So that's important to digest that. It's important to understand it, because when you go through it consciously in your twin flame relationship, you're going to perceive the relationship quite different. And like I said, the relationship is confused to be romantic because of the attraction, but it doesn't have to be. You don't have to, and actually that's probably what complicates most about the twin flame relationship, is when you start being involved sexually, when you start being involved romantically, it just confuses all the energy about it. And a lot of time people who are twin flames will have horrible sexual relationship. It's just not a good match because that's not the objective. You're not meant to be romantically involved. And it's really hard for people to grasp that. I know some of you are listening to me and they're like, no, my twin flame relationship will be different. I'll be able to bring it into, because it's so good. It's so good. It's exactly what I want. And yet I know it's difficult, but I'll be able to resolve the issues. And if you perceive it that way, I feel like you're going to constantly being into the suffering, because you're trying to heal something that doesn't need to heal. You're trying to heal a relationship that right from the beginning was not really a romantic relationship. You're trying to make something of the twin flame meeting that is not. So that's going to be suffering, difficult, challenging, and really bringing a lot of difficulties into your life because of that. So I think it's important to understand this perspective, to kind of grasp the twin flame relationship as something that is present to allow you to reconnect with yourself. And when you're really reconnected with yourself, you will be able to say goodbye to that twin flame, because the role of the twin flame is no longer relevant. The role of the twin flame is no longer needed in your life, because now you have found a way to go back within, to connect with yourself fully. So twin flame relationship, when I observe it in other people, I see a lot of back and forth, right? And it's the type of conversation that I have with the person who's involved. Will be like, oh, it's amazing. Like, I went to see him and it was great and we had a great time together. And then, a month later, it's like, no, I'm no longer speaking with him. He's a horrible person and this and that. And then, or it could be, oh, I'm in love with her. She's amazing. And I think we're going to move in together. And then a month later, it's like, no, we can't live together. It's horrible. She's a horrible person. She don't support me. She doesn't understand who I am. So it's a lot of that. It's so confusing to me. And I'm sorry for the Gemini out there, but to me, it's a lot of Gemini energy in the sense of, well, do you actually know what you want? Do you actually know? It's the duality, right? It's the duality in the experience. But that's the beauty of it also. Duality has this opportunity to allow us to embrace some aspects of us that are shadow, embrace aspects of us that are negative, that we might not be able to become conscious of if we didn't have the twin flame. So the twin flame will awaken a lot of insecurities in you, will trigger a lot of emotions. And those are emotions that you want to pay attention to. Those are emotions that you want to work on. So just take a moment to think of your twin flame relationship and look at what is the most recent negative experience you had with this person. Was it that you felt like that person was attacking you? Was it like you felt that person was not giving you enough attention? Was it that this person was being selfish and not paying attention to your needs, etc.? And take that information and bring it back to yourself. That's the push, right? You want to go back to yourself and be like, okay, what does that teach me? Maybe I'm not giving myself enough attention. Uh-oh, did I lose myself in the relationship again? Am I not expressing my needs clearly? So really go back within and try to think, what is this relationship reflecting about myself? And trust me, in the twin flame relationship, you can't blame the other person. It's all about you. You're the one that decided to manifest your twin flame. You're the one that is pushing and pulling. Yeah, it takes two to tango, but this one, you're dancing with your twin. You're dancing with your clone, basically. So it's all on you, and it's about you to decide. It's not for your twin to decide what is going to happen with the relationship. It's about you. When you make up your mind and you decide that, you know what, I am not appreciated for who I am with this person, I'm going to leave this person. When you're really decided about leaving your twin flame, you will leave your twin flame. And I've seen it, and I've done it, and I've seen other people do it. And you can definitely accomplish that. And It's how basically you don't bring it back in your next reincarnation. It's how you finally are comfortable with yourself. You're finally capable of owning who you are, basically. Being proud of who you are, being in the gratitude of who you are. Again, the twin flame will only show up because you need to learn something. You need to grow, and the growth is not happening at the right rate, maybe, or is not happening. There's some stubbornness about learning the lesson, so that's why it shows up. And that's why it's difficult. I mean, a twin flame could show up when you're married with somebody else. A twin flame can show up when you had plans to get married with somebody else. So the twin flame shows up to tell you that you've forgotten about yourself and you need to recenter yourself. But it's so counterintuitive, right? Because the twin flame will create exactly the issue, which is you will want to lose yourself with that person. You will want to forget your reality with that person because it's so intense, because it's so pleasing. Of course, it's like you're having a relationship with yourself, so you have the same interests, you have the same connection, you have wonderful conversations because you're having conversation with yourself. You have similar interests. And that's why it's so appealing, it's so pleasing. But yet you are having a relationship with yourself. So all your negative aspects are also showing up. All the things you're not appreciative of yourself will show up through this relationship. So that's a challenge. I'm not saying it's easy, but what I'm trying to convey is that it's important to change the perspective of the twin flame. Your job is not to heal the other person and make this relationship amazing. Your job is to heal yourself and stop blaming the other person. Your job is to go inside. It's an inside job. And I can already hear people asking, well, so if I do the inside job, will I be able to be with my twin flame? Unlikely, because when you start doing your inside job, it doesn't mean that the twin flame will do his inside job, just so you know. Sometimes it will lead to that. You would think that it would lead to that, but it can lead to that way later. So sometimes the twin flame will stay attached to the idea of being with you, even though you decided that you were cutting the relationship, which makes it even harder, but it is still part of the challenge. But once you have found yourself, you will no longer have a need to be with that twin flame necessarily. You'll have an attachment in the sense of you might be longing for that person to be better and etc. But honestly, there's no reason why it would transfer into a relationship, because the goal again was to make you grow. And if your growth has happened, there's no need anymore for the twin flame. That said, I have seen people that have met their twin flame, that they have done their inside job on both sides, and then it's almost like the relationship evolves and it becomes a soulmate, which energetically is completely different. So it's almost like there's a transfer of souls where the soul evolve and it becomes soulmate. But that's not usual, and that shouldn't be your objective. Your objective should be to do your inner work. Your objective should be to focus on yourself and figure out, why are you manifesting that twin flame? What are the things that you need to work on to evolve, to transition, to go to that next level, basically. So pay attention to those things. And again, it's a push and pull relationship. So you're pushing the twin flame to do your inner work. You're pushing the twin flame away. And when you have that need to pull the twin flame again, you're pulling the twin flame to learn a lesson. It's not that you're pulling to live with him or her. It's not that you're pulling to be love and all that. Your ego will make you believe that's why. Your ego will make you feel bad that you're not connecting with that person. But the ego's role is to attract this shadow you need to work on, is to attract the trigger. So the ego is just there to convince you that you really need that person in your life. And in fact, you probably do, because you haven't done the work. So you're pulling this person back in, or your twin flame is pulling you back in because it's time to learn a lesson. If you refuse the pull from the partner, well, then you've learned your lesson. You can move on because you're going back into the push of integrating the lesson. So it's a dance. It's a complicated dance. It's a frustrating dance. It's such a dance that is not for everyone, that's for sure. But I've noticed that in the past year, I would say a lot of people are manifesting their twin flame, and it's becoming more and more and more present. It's becoming so present that people are challenged by it. People are not sure how to approach it, not sure how to perceive it, and how to maneuver through that process. That's a hard one. It's a challenging one. It's one that is not mastered by most. There are different phases to the twin flame relationship. I've noticed that usually it comes from that desire to be unique, that desire to find yourself. And you can say that emotionally there's this sense of being alone. And that's probably why you manifest something externally to reassure you. The second phase is the actual meeting, the meeting of the twin flame. When you look at the energetic of it, there's like this immediate attraction, entanglement, I would say, like attachment, an entanglement in the energy. It's almost like you become one and the same. And it's not a good thing because you're all individuals. So energetically, there's this attachment cords that are developing pretty quickly in the meeting. But emotionally, you will feel like, wow, this is it. This is the person for me. It's amazing. And then physically, the person will feel the same too. Like there's like this instant reaction of knowing the other person, being familiar with the other person. And normally it moves on to the honeymoon phase. And the honeymoon phase is when like you start discovering the other person, and you just find that everything is going well. Everything is amazing. And here again, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. The honeymoon can be like, wow, he's like my best friend. We understand each other. Like there's just this amazing connection and interest that is common. And then it moves into the trigger, the triggering phase. The triggering phase is where an interaction, something come up and trigger you so deeply that you feel insecure, that all of a sudden like your little bubble has exploded and is on fire. And it's really energetically what's going on there is that the universe is showing you like, wait, like you're becoming too attached. We need to burn those cords. So the burn is the trigger. And that's the push, right? Like the push is happening. Wait. You're moving too fast. Let's push this away, push this energy away so you can do your inner work. So that's what's happening energetically. But in the physical reality, it's like, what the hell is wrong with this person? Like, why did he or she do that? Why did he or she say that, etc.? So there's really this intense moment of realizing like what the hell is going on. And that is the trigger phase, which is usually like, it happens usually so intense that you feel like you've been like you just feel lost, at a loss, because it happens pretty close after right after the honeymoon, basically. So it's like, what is going on? And then the next phase is how you're going to react to this trigger. And that's the challenge. That's the challenging phase, is like, okay, am I going to continue forcing this relationship and continue go through the pain and the suffering? Or am I going to stop this relationship and go work within myself? So some people stays at the challenge phase, and that's important to mention. Some people stay at the challenge phase, where it's the push and pull, and you just stay there constantly pushing and pulling, and that for me is not healthy. You can decide to, so there's two ways that this can go. So you can continue on with the relationship, but yet you say, okay, wait, I need a pause, I need a break. So you're going to break, which is the next phase. It's the separation. You're separating, you're detaching from the relationship. And then you're moving into the healing phase. So you're going to go heal that issue and heal whatever was triggered within you. And then the next phase is the reunion. You're going back to the person. And those 8 phases all together are just like a constant dance, but it all is determined at the 5th phase, which is the challenge. If at the challenge you decide to separate, to work and heal, and that there's no 8 phase in terms of reunion with the twin flame, but reunion with yourself. This is the ultimate goal of those phases, is not to reunite with your twin flame after you healed, is to reunite fully with yourself and let go of the twin flame. That is where people get it all wrong, is they go through the challenge phase thinking, you know what, I'm just going to detach from you, heal things. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to heal everything by separating from you. And then I'm going to come back healed and everything will be okay. No, you're going back to the relationship that is meant to teach you a lesson. So you're just coming back for another lesson, basically. Unless, like I said, that you separate for a while and everybody, both sides do their huge healing and everything settle, and you become a different soul contract, which is possible. I've seen it happen, but it's not usual. Usually your twin flame, again, is about this whole aspect of teaching you a lesson. So for me, all those phases, so going from the desire to the meeting, to the honeymoon, to the trigger, right? Awakening of what needs to be healed, and then moving into that challenge. And then that challenge is, how am I going to deal with this? Am I going to separate forever? Or am I going to separate for a moment and then heal my wound and then reunite either with the twin flame, or the ultimate reunion is with yourself? That's really what it's all about. That's really based on what I've perceived, based on my experience, based on people that I know that have gone through the twin flame experience, based on the channeling that I just did this weekend. Actually, that's when I was channeling and somebody was asking about a relationship, and it was obvious in the energies that there was so much entanglement with the other person. And I asked how the relationship was and figure out that it was a twin flame relationship. And that's where, through channeling, the information came through that it's a push and pull relationship. You push the other person because you need to integrate, you need to be with yourself, and you pull the person in order to learn something, to grow, to learn a lesson. So all that to say is that once you have understood the purpose of the twin flame relationship in your life, you can now go about it with a different angle, a different goal. But trust me, because you're so entangled with the relationship, you'll be saying basically, well, Isabel, there is no way I can live without that person. Like, I want to be with that person. I want to make a life with that person. And my response would be, of course you do. You're energetically entangled in the other person. There's no way right now that your mind can even conceive not being with that person because you're so entangled with the energies. And it's about cutting those energies. And you cut those energies through discipline. You need discipline. The mind has to, it has to be mind over energy, mind over body in order to cut the attachment. Because I've seen people, I've offered them, I said, we can heal from that relationship and I can cut the cords for you. I can do it through a Reiki session or my energy medicine session. And a lot of people have said no because they're afraid of cutting the connection with the other person. And that's just a mind game. That's the ego staying connected to this relationship through the entanglement of energy, because the ego knows that you still have something to learn. And until you learn that lesson, which is that you can be alone and happy with yourself. You can be happy by yourself. You are the only person in your life that matters, and you're the only person in your life that can make you happy. And once you've integrated that, you'll be ready to cut the attachment. But if right now you're like, Isabel, there's no way I can cut the attachment with this person, well, then don't, and learn your lessons and go through it. Like that's the purpose of it. That's why it's there. And that's the beauty about having so much to learn in a relationship. But experience it with that perspective, that you're staying in it to learn and grow, not to heal the other person, not to nourish a desire. Remember, the first phase is the desire, not to continue to nourish that desire to have somebody that fulfill your life, because that somebody is you. It will never come externally. It's your inner guide, and that is the sole purpose of the twin flame relationship, is to bring you back to yourself. I hope this episode helped you understand my perspective about the twin flame, but also understand what you're going through. I am absolutely not saying that this is easy and that will come easy for most once you have this information. But I feel like it empowers you. It is so much more empowering to know that you have the ability to end this relationship versus to believe the illusion that you are, there is no way you can end this relationship. And that's what I've noticed in the energy world and energy workers, is that they make you believe that the twin flame relationship is something you cannot get over, is something that you cannot say goodbye to and say no to, while you can absolutely do it. That's the total illusion that you need your twin flame to be happy. You don't, and that person is only showing up in your life to teach you that. And until you learn the lesson, the suffering will just continue and continue on. Even if you choose to separate from that person, as long as you don't learn that you are the one person that matters the most in your life, that you can be alone by yourself and be totally okay, until you don't reconnect with yourself, even if you're separated from your twin flame, you will still continue suffering from that separation. So that is why it's so important to move through the healing process with clear knowledge and being conscious of what is happening and how it's unfolding. I'm sending you tons of love. Thank you so much for listening. It's such a pleasure to share those moments with you. And again, feel free to reach out anytime. You can also find me on my website, innerguidecenter.com. And over there, you will see my different services. If you are interested in cutting the cord with your twin flame and you want to really move on, I strongly recommend that you reach out and we'll find a service that helps you, whether it's through channeling or energy healing. There is a way for you to move out of this process, and I can definitely be your guide. Thank you again, and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. You take care.